Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the 10th and final episode of the Ashur Mubashir series. My name is Mahir Qadri, and today we will be ending the series by highlighting a very special Sahabi. His name is Sayyid ibn Zayd radiallahu anhu. Before starting the Sahabi, I'd like to talk about his father. His name was Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufail. He was a special person. He was the nephew of Al-Khattab, the father of Umar radiallahu anhu. Zed was a man who understood from the very start that there is something wrong in worshipping idols, and was someone who rejected shirk at an early age and also argued with his people about this. His uncle Al-Khattab used to persecute him a lot. Zed passed away before prophethood came. Sayyid radiallahu anhu once asked the Prophet ﷺ about his father, saying that you knew my father and you know what happened with him, so what is his situation? So the Prophet ﷺ responded that he has seen his father on the day of judgment, that when every nation will stand behind their Prophet, Zayd ibn Amr will be standing as a nation by himself, on his own. Now, starting with Sayyid radiallahu anhu, he accepted Islam at the age of 19, and it was very easy for him to accept because he was raised by his father, who also disliked the shirk around him. His teacher was Khabbab ibn al-Arath, and he, Sayyid radiallahu anhu, was married to Fatima bin Khattab radiallahu anha, who is the sister of Umar radiallahu anhu. And many scholars say that Fatima bint Khattab radiallahu anha was the second woman after Khadija radiallahu anha who accepted Islam. He is the brother-in-law of Umar radiallahu anhu, and it is in his blessed house where Umar radiallahu anhu had a change of heart after listening to Surah Taha, which was being recited by Sayyid radiallahu anhu himself. Now, what makes this Sahabi so special? He was someone who loved service. He loved serving the Prophet ﷺ. He loved feeling the feeling of struggle, fighting in battles, having dust on his face and sand in his hair. His famous statement was, "To witness a battle with the Prophet ﷺ and have dust on my face is more beloved to me than living a life of good deeds, even if you live as the life of Nuh alayhi salam." So he witnessed all the battles alongside the Prophet ﷺ except for the Battle of Badr. Now you might be wondering, why would he miss the Battle of Badr when he accepted Islam and migrated to Medina with his family? The reason is that the Prophet ﷺ sent him and Talha radiallahu anhuma to scout the caravan of Abu Sufyan in Sham. By the time they returned, the Battle of Badr was over, but the Prophet ﷺ still counted the two as veterans of Badr in war spoils and reward. Sayyid radiallahu anhu was a courageous warrior and would charge first in battle. He was the head of knights in most battles as well. During the caliphate of Umar radiallahu anhu, an inspiring incident occurred during the Battle of Yarmouk, where 24,000 Muslims were facing a Roman army made of 120,000 soldiers. It was a fierce battle, and Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu appointed Sayyid radiallahu anhu as the head of the qalb, meaning the center of the army. Sayyid radiallahu anhu did a very powerful thing that day. He called upon Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, who is also part of the Ashur Mubashara. We spoke about him in previous episodes. So Sayyid radiallahu anhu told him that he is determined to be a martyr today. So he asked Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu, "What would you like me to say to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when I meet him after my shahada?" Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu said, "Give him my salam and the salam of Muslims, and also say that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, O Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with goodness, and tell him that we have found what our Lord has promised us to be true," meaning that Islam has spread globally. Sayyid radiallahu anhu said that this statement of Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu removed the fear from his heart. He fought courageously and the Muslims ended up being victorious. He was also a part of the conquest of Sham, and Umar radiallahu anhu had appointed him as the governor of Damascus. Sayyid radiallahu anhu, who spent all his life serving and living in Damascus as a governor in a country that was so well developed and was known for its buildings, progress, and beautiful gardens. He was given the palace of Caesar to live in, and stayed as the governor for 3 months, and lived in those luxuries, but he felt uneasy. Now I want you to think for a moment. A man like Sayyid radiallahu anhu, who has been serving all his life, it was difficult for him to live so relaxed and living in such a luxurious life. He wanted to get back on track to serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he sent a letter to Umar radiallahu anhu saying that he can't abandon the companions while they struggle and he sits in a palace. So he said that by the time Umar radiallahu anhu would receive the letter, Sayyid radiallahu anhu would already be on his way back to Medina. So he requested Umar radiallahu anhu to send someone else to replace him. So let's stop and take a lesson here. As a Muslim, we should always love to be in a sense of service. So let's think about ourselves. When we are at a gathering, whether it's at home, school, or the masjid, am I sitting comfortably or am I helping others? As a believer, we need to recognize that we don't have time to waste because we want to get as many good deeds done as possible. We should be amongst those who are serving others, and we should be appreciating the people who are serving the community as well, whether it's the janitor or the sanitation engineer or the imam at the masjid. So you're either serving others or you're appreciating the people who are serving you. Moving on, another incident that occurred during his life was once a woman whose land was next to Sayyid radiallahu anhu's land went to Marwan bin Hakam, who was the governor of Medina, saying that he took her land. Investigations were made, and Sayyid radiallahu anhu at that time quoted the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet ﷺ said that if a person occupies a land that does not belong to him, that land will be wrapped around his neck on the day of judgment, even if he is under the seventh floor of the earth. A person who dies for his property is regarded as a martyr. After this, Sayyid radiallahu anhu vowed that he did not violate this woman's land, and he made a prayer for her saying, "O Allah, if this woman is lying, blind her before she dies and make the well that is in her garden a grave for her." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed all of Medina how this prayer came true. This woman became blind, and after a while she fell into the well that was in her garden. She also ended up dying there. Coming to the end of his life, Sayyid radiallahu anhu died in the year of 673. He had just prayed Fajr and came home. He was taking a nap and he died peacefully in his sleep on a Friday. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu gave him ghusl, and Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, who is the son of Umar radiallahu anhu, did his janazah. He died at the age of 79. The two of them, who is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas and Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, witnessed that whenever they wanted to perfume his body already had a sweet smell. It was as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling them that his service has been accepted, even if he didn't die while he was serving. So the lesson we can take from his life is that when your intention is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will accept your services. So next time, make sure you take advantage of the situation that you are in, and make sure that you're one of the people who are serving Allah, and do it purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. So this concludes this Sahabi's story. Now, as I was saying in the previous episodes, I'll be giving you tips to remember their names. So the tip that I had given was remember the name of the four caliphs. Then come the two best friends, which is Talha and Zubair radiallahu anhuma. Then we have the two Sahabis whose name begins with the letter A. So that's Abdurrahman and Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhuma. So far we have the four caliphs, the two best friends, Talha and Zubair radiallahu anhuma, and now the two companions whose names begin with the letter A, Abdurrahman and Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhuma. And now finally we have our last two companions whose name begins with the letter S, Sa'd and Sayyid radiallahu anhuma. So four caliphs, two best friends, and two companions whose names start with the letter A, and two companions whose name starts with the letter S. So that is four caliphs, two best friends, Talha and Zubair radiallahu anhuma, two companions whose name starts with the letter A, Abdurrahman and Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhuma, and our final two companions whose name starts with the letter S, Sa'd and Sayyid radiallahu anhuma. Thank you for joining me in this episode, and please keep checking my channel because inshallah I'll be making more series in the future. Assalamu alaikum.